Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's the 14th of March 2023. My name is Matthew Gill, prophet and first elder of the restored branch of Jesus Christ. Today we're going to be going over some of the Kirtland temple sale and some of the questions and points that have come into us. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's get to it. Okay, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well. This is the first time I've been able to get back on to do anything for about 4 days. I want to thank everybody who sent me messages of get well soon and praying for me. I just want to let you know that I'm doing okay at the moment. Okay to record this video anyway. So the reason I wanted to do this video today generally is as a follow-up to the Kirtland temple sale video that I put up, which, by the way, has gone massive. It's I think it's got over 5,000 views, which for us is really fantastic. So I want to thank everybody who's viewed that. You might not necessarily agree with me, but thank you for viewing anyway. So I wanted to go over a few points that have cropped up in that video and to allay some people's fears about a few things and to talk about some of the stuff that has cropped up over the last week. So firstly, I want to make a major apology. I'm so sorry I offended people. It seems that some of you were rather traumatised by the fact that I got the sale figures wrong for the temple. I said 195 million, and in fact it is 192.5 million pounds. Let's give you a breakdown. So for the Kirtland temple sale itself, roughly the cost was 129 million. Get that? 129,630,988 dollars. Everything else that they acquired was $62,869,012, totaling up to $192.5 million. So, yet again, I apologise reservedly if I've offended anybody by getting the sale figures wrong. I think you might have slightly missed the point of the video, but nevertheless, I wanted to make an apology to you. I also wanted, and this is a sincere, heartfelt apology, to all those people who watched that video and got really, really triggered and offended by it. I, unlike some of the comments that have been made, do not hate anybody. I certainly do not hate organisations. I think the LDS Church, and this is on record, I think the LDS Church have done some magnificent things for the Restoration family. Magnificent. They've flooded the world with Books of Mormon, and I'm being serious here. They've flooded the world with Books of Mormon, and they've brought to the attention of the world that book. It might not be for the reasons I would want to bring attention to it, but nevertheless it's brought attentions to it, to the world. Not only that, but to Joseph Smith, regardless of the baggage they have brought along with that. So I don't hate the LDS Church at all. I don't like certain principles that they have, and I don't like certain individuals within that church, but I don't hate that church. And I certainly don't hate, as somebody said, the entire membership of that church. There are members in my extended family who are in that church, and I certainly don't hate them. In fact, I love them very much. And it doesn't stop me having a relationship with them. We just don't talk about religion very much, which is, I find unusual. But this argument has been going around that I'm filled with hate and what did somebody say, venom for what they've done. No, I don't hate them for what they've done. I hate the way they've gone about it. I certainly don't appreciate some of the comments that have been made by LDS members with regards to the rhetoric surrounding the sale and why it's so important. But I don't hate anybody. I certainly don't hate the LDS Church for doing what they've done. I just don't like the way they've gone about it. I think it was done in a very on-hand fashion, and I think it could have been done with a bit more appreciation for those people and those organisations within the Restoration that aren't in a position that they're in to acquire whatever they want to acquire. And I'm not the only person who is expressing concern over what has happened. And since what has happened, there are lots of people who are expressing concern over the wording of the agreement, which I think is to do with preservation. If you look at the way the LDS Church say they preserve historical buildings or monuments, it's less a preservation and more of a reconstruction. And I would hate to see the Kirtland Temple be preserved in the way they preserve buildings. I certainly don't agree with the narrative that's been floating around that it was falling apart and they needed to come in to save it. That's just nonsense. I've never been to the Kirtland Temple, but I've seen recent tours of the Kirtland Temple, only carried out maybe a year ago. And I think the Community of Christ did a fantastic job preserving that building, considering how old it is. Now, I come from a country where there are buildings far older than the Kirtland Temple in a lot better state. However, for America, this is an old building. And for the way it was constructed, I don't think it's in such a bad condition. The inside of the main meeting area, the chapel area, is beautiful. So I applaud the Community of Christ for what they did with regards to preserving the building in its present condition, and the grounds and everything else that went with it. They did a great job. So all this nonsense about the sale having to go through because it was falling apart, that's just propaganda rubbish. The reason this sale went through was because of the reasons I stated last time. The executives of the Community of Christ had a major hole in their pensions plan for their executives, and they needed to fill it, and the only way to fill it is to sell one of their biggest assets. One of their biggest assets sitting doing nothing is the Kirtland Temple. Now, I don't want to get into the politics of why they made the decision to sell it. I can probably guess as to why they did that. There was a lot of pressure applied. This thing has been cultivated by the LDS Church for a very long time, more time than they said in their last press release. But I certainly don't hate the LDS Church for seeing an opportunity and taking it. I just wish they'd have gone about it differently. And I'm not backtracking on my previous video by any means. But this nonsense that's going around that I hate people and that I'm very bitter with the LDS Church. I'm bitter about the sale of the Kirtland Temple and the way it was done. You bet. But I'm not bitter and angry with the LDS Church. I was born, blessed, baptised, went through the primary and youth program, served a mission, was married in the temple, went to the temple frequently, held various callings in the LDS Church. I was very happy in the LDS Church. I have a lot of very, very fond, enjoyable memories of my time there. So I don't hate them. Has the church changed since that period? It has changed a lot. I don't think it is the church of the 80s and 90s. I certainly don't think it's the church of the 60s, 70s and before. It's a different animal now. But I don't have any hard or horrible feelings towards that organisation. I didn't leave the LDS Church because I fell out with the LDS Church. I left because I was told to leave. But I didn't leave because I had a falling out with anybody in the LDS Church. Did I get on with everybody in the LDS Church? No. Did we have differences of opinion? Yes. Did I like the direction that I saw some of the wards and stakes going? No. Was I a faithful member? Yes. Paid my tithings, faithful member, held callings, went to the temple, paid my tithing. I was a very faithful member. But I didn't leave because of any animosity towards anybody or anything within that church. I want to get that on record. People don't tend to know my background. I left for spiritual reasons. Certainly not for anything the LDS Church had done negatively in my life. As I said, I don't agree with everything they do. I still don't. I still think they have far, far, far too much power and money. But what can you do? I mean, I'm not going to... We live in a free economy. We live in a Western world where all power to them. I don't agree with the way they've gone about amassing the wealth they have. I think it's wrong. But I don't hate them. But I do dislike the way they've gone about this Kirtland Temple fiasco. And unless you're LDS, it is a fiasco. There are lots of people within the Restoration, as Steve Pinecker said, who are in mourning. I don't know if mourning is quite the right word to use. Might be slightly overdoing it, but certainly unhappy with everything that's happened, because they feel as if their history has been solved from under them. And all this nonsense that people have been saying, well, you know, the RLDS Church, it wasn't really theirs. Well, no, it wasn't really yours either. It was built in a time when there wasn't 100 different restoration denominations. There was one. Joseph Smith led it. And all this nonsense about it's coming home, the second coming's on the way, God is restoring everything to his church. That's just propaganda by people who don't know any better. The Lord isn't coming back next summer, I can assure you. And there's no rush to get to the Kirtland Temple to do your endowment, because there's no way to do them. And of course I have fears that the temple, after I think a 5-year agreement, I think it's a 15-year agreement, I probably got that wrong as well. I'm sure it says a 15-year agreement, but you could check that and see if I'm wrong. It says they will preserve it as it is, but you know, there's a lot of how shall we say, loose caveats within that agreement, because I've read it. I think it's 15 years, and there's a lot of loose caveats that could be gotten out of. It's not watertight, is what I'm saying. So, and I said in my last video, I could see them moving it off its foundations, reinforcing its foundations. I just don't want them to. I don't want to see it gutted and made into a working LDS temple, because it was never meant for that purpose. But you know, I've been over this in my last video. But my main reason for doing this one is the fact to say, look, you know, all this nonsense about I'm full of hate and animosity to the LDS Church. You obviously don't know me. You obviously don't know my story. I was very, very passionate about that last video I did. Very passionate, because it was a subject that I feel very, very passionate about. And obviously it sparked a ton of interest. But you need to go back and do your homework, because that's not who I am, and I certainly don't hate anybody. Now, moving off the Kirtland Temple, because I think we've covered that enough. It's done now. It's not going to go back. We just have to live in the world that we're given and make the best of it, and fight for everything we want, and make sure that they stick to their agreements. And moving off that, I've had plenty of messages sent to me, questions. because of this video sent to the branch, and I will get round to answering those. I want to answer one of them now. Yet again, it's cropped up, and I don't know why. Somebody thinks we have a copyright issue with regards to our scriptures, that we're breaking copyright law. Firstly, you can only break copyright law if you don't have the permission of the person whose copyright that own it. Well, we don't produce our own Books of Mormon. We don't produce our own Bibles. And we use, with permission, Books of Mormon and Bibles that have been produced elsewhere. But we use them with permission. We never say they're ours. In fact, the Restored Covenant edition isn't ours. It's used loads of places. The inspired version of the Bible that we use isn't ours. It's used in lots of places, but we have permission to use them. So we're not breaking any copyright law with regards to the Book of Mormon or the inspired version of the Bible. We're certainly not breaking any copyright law with the Chronicles of the Children of Aaron because I own it. We're not breaking any copyright law with the Doctrine and Covenants because we have the permission of the person whose text we use for the Doctrine and Covenants. We produce that on our own, but it's a totally different book to everybody else's because it has new revelations in it. So we're not using anything without permission, and we're not using anything from the LDS Church scripture-wise, so that wouldn't be an issue. During the legal battles we had the LDS Church some years ago, we came to a very amicable agreement about what we would and wouldn't use, and wordings we would and wouldn't use. But I want to stress something to my American friends and my English and British and European friends. The copyright and trademark laws in the United States are not the same as they are in the UK. So in America, the Book of Mormon is in the public domain. So is the inspired version of the Bible. As lots of things that age are, they're in the public domain. For instance, the original Mickey Mouse is now in the public domain. You can take the original Mickey Steamboat Willie version and slap it on virtually anything you want these days. But you can't do it with the other ones. And the copyright and trademark laws in the United States aren't the same as they are here in Europe. Hence the problem we had with the LDS Church and our legal issue. Because over here they have trademarked and copyrighted things that they can't in America. For instance, they have trademarked, get this, words and copyrighted words such as Jesus Christ, Latter Day and Saint. Okay? They've even trademarked the word Mormon, which I know they don't like using, which I find just petty because that means that they don't want to use it, but they don't want anyone else to use it either, here in Europe. Now, we went over this with the LDS Church during our legal issue, and we came to an agreement, and we have that agreement in writing, and we have broke none of those agreements. We don't use any scripture from the LDS Church, and we have a major disclaimer on our website saying that we are nothing to do with the LDS Utah Church. There can be no mistake. If you're making a mistake, it's a mistake of your own making, because we are not connected to them in any way, shape or form. Apart from the fact that we're all part of the Restoration family, which is just a really strange thing for me. But yet again, it plays into the narrative that they believe they're the only ones. So they want to protect what they think is theirs. It's funnily enough they can't protect it in the United States, but they can protect the heck out of it here. But I want to assure everybody that the Restored Branch of Jesus Christ are not breaking any copyright law with regards to scripture. We have permissions to use those scriptures, and we have permissions to sell one of those scriptures on our website from the people who sold them to us and who produced them. So we don't sell very many, if any at all, but because most of the people that buy our scriptures are from the US, and it's easier for them, and I send them back to the people that produce them and sell them and say, go back to there, it's cheaper for you than it's buying it from me. But I don't know where this thing has cropped up again. But it tends to crop up every time we put our head above the parapet. It seems like, oh, there they are. Let's take another shot. Let's take another shot. The only way the restored branch of Jesus Christ would disappear is if we came under increasing pressure from an outside source to shut down under European law. But we would obviously fight that, like we did last time, with every means at our disposal. Not that we have very much. So I want to put and assure you that with regards to our scripture, we're breaking no copyright law at all. The other question that I wanted to answer today was somebody asked me what the succession crisis was and what I thought it was all about. They were under the impression that the argument was settled that Brigham Young was the one to lead the church, and maybe that's another video we could get into another time, because it's a lengthy subject. But suffice to say, I don't think they understand the succession crisis. Not many people do. But we'll probably get into that in another video. I have covered it before. But that's my video for today. I just wanted to and anybody who has ordered scriptures, they are on their way. They are posted out. We tend to get a pretty good turnaround on those scriptures. So that's good. And an update with regards to the new scriptures that we're producing. Our second read through is virtually finished. We've just got a little bit more to go, really. I think it'll be done soon. And then I'm still waiting on the 2 final pictures that are going to go into the book. As soon as those are done, we're all set. So it's just a case of hanging tight. We are going full steam ahead as fast as we can, and those books will be produced this year, and you will have a copy in your hands for those people that have given money to receive a copy. So hold tight, they are coming, we are getting them done. And that concludes my video for today. I hope you're all doing well. As I say, we don't hate anybody here. We try and stretch out a hand of friendship to everybody, but there are certain subjects that we're very passionate about, and that was just one of them. And if you took offence at anything I said, I apologise, but I read the situation as it was, and I still think it's a very, very messy situation for lots of people that aren't in your position, and it's a very emotive subject. So I hope that you understand where we're coming from. So until next time, brothers and sisters, keep praying for me, because I really need your prayers right now. I still can't hear out of my right ear, and I'm still suffering very badly from my many ears. Today is a goodish day, so I'm able to do this video. I don't know how the rest of the day is going to pan out, but your prayers will be much appreciated from me this end. So take care of one another, look after one another, be kind to one another, and remember, Christ walks with us. So I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.